All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the code that powers pretty much everything you see on your screen. We're talking about strings, these simple little sequences of text that are no joke, the real language of our digital world.
I mean, think about it for a second. How does that happen? Well, the answer is way simpler than you might think. That personal greeting, the name on your profile, even the words you're hearing right now, they're all made possible by something called a string. It's not magic, it's just some really clever code, and we're going to break down exactly how it all works.
So what even is a string? You know, at its core, it's just a bunch of characters strung together. Any text you can imagine, a single word, a whole sentence, even an emoji, that's a string in the coding world. It's basically the universal language for any text a computer needs to understand or show you.
Now, to make this idea really stick, we're going to use a simple analogy for this whole explainer. A pearl necklace. Trust me, it's a fantastic way to picture how strings are put together and all the cool things we can do with them.
So here's the breakdown. The entire necklace, that's our whole string, say hello world. Each little pearl on that necklace is a single character, an H, an E, or even that space in the middle counts as a pearl. And here's the most important part. Every pearl has a specific spot, which coders call an index. And the one quirky rule you gotta remember, we always start counting from 0. So that first H isn't at position 1, it's at index 0.
Okay, so we know what a string is. Now for the fun part. Let's open up the toolkit and see what we can actually do with these things. This is where the real power and creativity of programming starts to kick in.
Our very first tool is called concatenation. I know, it sounds super technical, but don't let the fancy name fool you. It's actually one of the simplest and most common things you'll ever do with text.
All concatenation means is joining things together. That's it. You take 2 or 3 or 10 separate strings and you just stick them together end to end to make one new, longer string.
So with our pearl necklace, this is literally like tying 2 shorter necklaces together to make one big one. And in code, it's just as easy. You just use a plus sign. The string hello plus the string world gives you the single string hello world. See? Simple, right?
So if concatenation is all about putting strings together, it only makes sense that we need a way to take them apart. And for that, we've got our next tool, slicing. This is all about grabbing just the piece you want.
Slicing, or you'll sometimes hear it called creating a substring, is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. You're just pulling out a specific chunk from the middle of a bigger string.
Our analogy makes this super clear. It's just like snipping a small piece off your necklace to make a bracelet. So in this code example, we've got the string programming. We tell the computer, hey, give me the slice starting at index 3 and going up to, but not including, index 7. And what we get back is that little piece right in the middle, gram. It's an incredibly precise way to get exactly what you're looking for. Okay, tool number 3 is another one that's absolutely fundamental. It's called splitting. And this is how we take a big piece of text and break it down into useful, smaller parts.
What splitting does is take one single string and just chop it up into a whole list of smaller strings. But it needs a little guidance. It needs you to tell it where to make the cuts, using a specific character called a separator or sometimes a delimiter.
Think about breaking a sentence into individual words. You naturally do that wherever you see a space, right? The space is your separator. In this code example, our separator is a comma. We tell the program to split the string apple, comma, banana, comma, cherry every time it sees a comma. The result isn't one string, it's a list containing 3 totally separate strings, apple, banana, and cherry.
And for our last tool, we've got a really powerful 2-for-1 deal. This one is absolutely essential for dealing with data, searching and replacing.
It's basically a 2-step move. First, you search inside a string to check if a little piece of text is even in there. And then, step 2, if you want, you can replace whatever you found with something completely different.
So let's look at both of these in action. First, the search. We ask the question, does the string, the brown dog, contain the word dog? The answer comes back, true. Simple. Now for the replace. We can take the string red car, tell the computer to find the word red and swap it out for blue. And boom, we get a brand new string, blue car.
Okay, so we've got our toolkit, we can join, we can slice, we can split, and we can search. But why does any of this really matter? Well, it turns out these super simple tools are the engine running behind pretty much every single digital thing you do all day.
Seriously, once you start looking for them, you see strings everywhere. Every single time you type your name or a password into a website, that's a string. The path to a file on your computer, it's just a long string. The data your weather app gets from a server or the commands a program sends to a database, you guessed it, it's all just text, all handled as strings.
When you really think about it, without these tools, our digital world would just stop. We wouldn't be able to check if your password is strong enough, or figure out how to load a web page from its address, or even just format today's date so it looks right on your screen. Strings are the quiet and visible workhorse of our digital lives.
So, I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you see a website that says, "Hello, your name," you'll know, hey, that's just concatenation. When you see a perfectly formatted date or you search for a word in a document, you'll see these tools in action. The digital world is built with these little pearl necklaces of code. Now that you know what to look for, how many can you spot?